The team felt forced into a marathon with no direction. The chief was embarrassed and doubtful was this a serial case. While Nick waited at a traffic light, he suddenly heard a bizarre traffic light sound that hit him like a lightning bolt, and he immediately told Old White, "This guy's smart." So all the stars heard that sound? It was basically a brainwave alert for the smart folk, so that's why she has those funky marks on her fingers. This lady's writing was one of a kind. With this unique mark of the victim, they quickly narrowed it down and began searching for missing blind girls in town, and they found that a girl named Angie had gone missing. Nobody knew where she had gone. Nick speculated that the disarmed victim might be Angie, so he teamed up with Old White to snoop around the blind school for clues. The principal knew nothing, but Nick found Laura the teacher might know inside info on Angie's disappearance. She had even met the man who took Angie. If the disarmed victim is really Angie, then this mysterious guy starts looking pretty suspicious. The principal reluctantly agreed to let Nick visit the female teacher. When they entered Laura's office, she didn't seem surprised at all. They had already discussed this over the phone. But it seemed she didn't know much about the situation. She only remembered that when saying goodbye to Angie, a dude came over to help her with the bags. She had no idea what their relationship was, but she recalled that the guy shared smoking habits with Nick, which piqued Nick's interest. Beyond that, Laura had no other standout impressions. Her testimony gave Nick a small breakthrough, but when leaving, he noticed some scratch marks in the door. Laura explained that this happened when friends left their dog with her while they went out, and Angie had a guide dog. The police had indeed found a sorry dead dog at the dump, but no one cared at the time. Nick quickly returned to the dump, and sure enough, the dog hadn't just died unexpectedly, it had been shot dead using a .22 caliber bullet. He enlisted his colleague in LA to investigate and discovered a staggering 6 shooting cases in various California locations involving that same bullet, and all the victims were still, some were blind. Nick panicked. It was a horrifying serial case. He told Old White. He figured the chief wouldn't believe his theory, yet he wanted Old White to persuade the chief to form a special task force to investigate the blind school. But Old White shut him down. His reasoning simply based on a dog shot dead didn't hold water at all. Left with no options, Nick decided to go solo on his investigation to uncover new leads. Nick decided to use Laura as a breakthrough, and soon enough, they were often in contact and their relationship took a subtle twist. He also learned more about Laura. Subtitles: she had a childhood car accident that killed her parents and blinded Laura. Yet Nick found a new clue in her memories. The guy looking for Angie seemed to drive a vehicle that had a weak door close and a low engine growl, but he wasn't sure what model it was. By chance, one day, as Nick took Laura on a joyride, he suddenly heard a similar sound. Laura promptly told him she heard that sound too, and Nick discovered it was a minivan. After dropping Laura at school, Nick saw a similar car nearby. Recalling his near miss on the way sent shivers down his spine. Unable to resist, Nick sneakily prepped to investigate. The minivan's door was ajar, and inside he found a cigarette butt and a gooey stick. Just then, the owner spotted Nick, who flashed his badge, saying he found the door open during patrol and came to inspect. Nick asked her to show her license and inquired briefly. As the driver was female, not matching his suspect's gender, he left. However, Nick's frequent contact with Laura raised the principal's hackles, who thought that Nick was just using the case as an excuse to get closer to Laura. The principal called Nick in and warned him to stop seeing Laura, citing that she had sent the chief a postcard written by a blind person, stating that Angie was sorry and everything was hunky-dory. Nick had a hunch it was fake. Even Old White urged him to drop it. Maybe Angie was fine, and the hand was just hospital waste. But Nick still trusted his instincts and seized an opportunity to pick the lock on Detective Taylor's cabinet and found the cold case files. Unfortunately, Taylor caught him red-handed, and he was furious enough to toss Nick out of the precinct for sneaking around. Although Nick didn't find any useful leads, he broke the rules by contacting Laura privately. He pulled out the postcard Angie had sent to verify it with Laura, and Laura confidently told Nick that the handwriting wasn't Angie's at all. This made Nick even more convinced that he was onto something. The killer had definitely noticed the police were on his case. The previous night, Laura got a suspicious call while washing up. Nick saw someone leak Laura's witness info to the press. He immediately figured it had to be Taylor, since he had always had a bone to pick with Nick. Jeremy angrily confronted Taylor, stating that this behavior endangered the witness. Taylor coldly responded that the case was closed because the chief didn't believe in these serial killer rumors. Angie's postcard was enough proof she was alive. Taylor even shot back at Nick, saying if Laura had really met the killer last night, she'd be a goner by now. Taylor thought Nick was creating opportunities to flirt with the witness and even insulted Laura, saying she wasn't fit to be a witness because she was blind. This remark instantly made Nick furious, leaving everyone present in the room completely awestruck. While Nick knew that guy from the other night couldn't be the killer, he realized the real culprit was bound to do something next. So, to protect Laura, he secretly brought her to his home, and they got lost in the moment that night. Their lives became sweetly mundane until Christmas Eve rolled around. While at a party hosted by old whites, a cop fresh off the shift asked Nick. The school said someone phoned the blind school for Laura to question her tonight. The cop thought Nick had discovered a lead and was onto something, so he didn't deny it to the school. However, this made Nick realize something was off. After the party, he pulled out his gun. He planned to act alone, but Old White noticed. Puzzled, Old White inquired, and Nick told him about the call. Nick suspected it was the killer impersonating the police making that call. Nick's buddy was waiting for him at school. Nick's buddy was waiting for him at school. Nick's buddy was waiting for him. Nick's buddy waited for him at school 4 times. Nick's buddy waited for him at school 4 times.